is right there.
Should be live.
Hey, bring one of those people on. The guy from India. I want to see what it looks like in India at 2 a.m. He comes back on. Hang on, I just got to get this call really fast.
Which means it's going to be me for the moment. I'm going to go to the YouTube chat. If one of the guys who was just there is still there, can you send a message? In the chat. That's pretty cool. I don't know how he wants me to share this because I can't just send out the link on the chat. I mean, I could, but I don't really want to do that. All chats. Sam is about to come back. Here he is.
All right, man, I'm back. Hang on. Okay. So wait, so we should be syncing to 2 different streams or two different
Yes, we should have 2
chats.
different streams, 2 different chats. However, both chats should come in together. It'll just show you the logo of wherever it's coming from. So the YouTube play button versus the Twitch logo will tell you, or the Facebook logo will show you which one it comes from. If anybody wants to jump into a quick call here, we'd like to see what it looks like with a guest. Again, we're just testing out this application and then seeing what works and what doesn't. The idea of having this app is so that Sam can stream a little bit easier from home. He can just jump in. If he has like a cool conversation he's having with someone and they just want to stream it real quick, jump in Melon and takes care of itself. It's literally...
Do we know what the lag is?
I mean, the chat lag isn't very bad, and the only other lag that I can notice is the number of viewers. And after you get consistent with a couple viewers, it should even out. So right now it says we have 7. Right now we have 5 from YouTube, which is where I'm at. And let's switch over to Twitch. Oh, not Twitter. Twitch is showing another 3. Now it's saying 8. So, yeah, that's about right. About 7, 8.
Okay.
So it's not too bad.
All right.
But the chat shouldn't be.
Hang on.
really.
Wait. All right. Okay, Julie. So we're going to say right now. I just want to test the lag on it. Yeah, if somebody wants to hop in, it would be awesome, man. Yeah, we just really want to. Oh, the lag is only 3 seconds, by the way. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so once again, if you just hopped on, we just found this other platform, and we're just working on trying to see if it's going to work for us. And yeah, the app, it's actually, they call it an app, but it's online. It's Melon. Yeah, Melon app. Hey, Jameen. Hey, wait, did you ask Jameen? Can you hop on? You're in India right now. Just if we send you the link. But how would you send them the link, Jeff? You could put it in the chat, right? He could just get it.
He could, but I mean, I don't really want to send. You know what? Since it's just like 6 people here, and this link changes every time. I mean, if you just want to use that link I sent on YouTube, that would be good.
Yeah.
Also, did you see every comment we can put on as like a little?
Oh yeah, that's cool. All right,
really
I like
cool.
that.
So if someone has a question, I don't need to type it.
Yeah, what we're testing, Madani 89. We're this web. It's actually it's a streaming platform called melonapp.com, and it makes streaming really, really easy. When we want to do like a Q&A type of thing like this, it's just super simple, and then we can fire it out to Twitch and YouTube and so on. It's not going to look the same as our other work, but it's fine. It does what we need to do, because Jeff can hop off. Jeff can one person can run it, or I could just run it by myself. So Jeff just downsizes himself, and here I am, and we can bring somebody else on. So they can't seem to live chat on the desktop.
Jameen is here. I'm gonna bring him in.
Hi.
Jameen, what's up?
Hi, man. It's good to see you here.
Yeah, nice seeing you.
Yeah. So, like, okay. How's the stream going?
It's going
okay?
well, man. Hey, where are you in India, by the way?
I'm from Gujarat, actually.
Gujarat?
Gujarat state. Yeah, it's the western part of India.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool. And how come you're awake at 2 a.m?
Where I can't sleep at night, so I wake up at 10 a.m. and I also sleep at the afternoon. Like, I have nothing to do, so I'm just chatting around.
Yeah. How come you have nothing to do? Like what?
Like I recently graduated from BBA, and my father is kind of wealthy, so I'm doing nothing.
Yeah. Dude, then we got to put you to work, man.
Yeah, but the jobs is kind of shittier, so I'm like actually willing to do my master's in Canada and then shift to Canada. That's my own plan right now.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, Jay Swag jumped on, and hey, Jay Swag. Hey, listen, why do you watch the stream? Like, what do you get from it? I'm just out of curiosity.
Like why I do want to stream?
Yeah, why you watch the Social 19 live stream? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just want to ask a question. Sorry about that. Like, what's really happening in USA? Uh, as I know, like 5 years ago, we are kind of fantasizing the America, like
Yeah.
what's to live in America. All people are like, wow, such a great country. But nowadays, like people are sitting on America. They say it's a horrible place to live. So is it true or just like I don't know?
No. Listen,
You
man.
can say
Nothing.
that, you can say that, and like I don't know.
Okay, so listen. Think about India. Like, how old has there been civilization in India? Right, like 5,000 years. Right.
Yeah, fun. Yes.
If someone said like India, oh, it's a terrible place since Modi came into power, it's like, okay, well,
Yes.
we're looking at like 6 years, 5,000 years. Nothing changes in 6 years' time. So that would be silly, right? So I think the same thing is true in the United States. Nothing has really changed. Well, a million Americans died from COVID. That is
Yeah,
one thing that has
that,
changed.
that's really bad.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. You know, it's funny because it's not funny, like funny, but I was looking at just the population of the United States, which last year was 331 million people, and now we're down to 330 million. And it's like it went down by a million people in 1 year. You know, like a year and a half, basically, almost. It's like shit. Anyway, yeah, nothing. It's all the same, man. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for like I'm really boring, but I,
No,
yeah.
you're
So
not boring
anyone,
at all. No, but listen, answer. I do have a question for you though. Like,
okay.
hey, what my question is like, what leads you to watch the live stream in my class? What do you get from that?
It's really interesting because I was having interested in sociology. I didn't know about that. Like it's all actually sociology. I like to study the race and what people think about it. And US is kind of really a fun place to be because there are many races, many ethnicities are there, and you are just like making the things like uh, what I can say. My English is not that good.
No, your English
Uh,
is much better than my Hindi. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
or whatever.
But you are like really interesting person to me. I just like love watching to you, like doing the stuff on the stage, coming to people and asking their opinion about like what you think and
Uh-huh.
really cool style of teaching. We never seen this type of teaching in India, like this type of professors, and they really know about the things. What are you talking
Uh-huh.
about?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
you,
very
man.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool to hear. It gives me motivation to keep doing it. Listen, tomorrow should be a really interesting class.
I will
Yeah.
be joining. Yeah, I will
All
join
right.
this. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have to like take another person to chance. Like I can leave if you want to.
Okay. Okay, good. Send us your email. Okay.
Yes.
Because it's always nice to bring people in from like tomorrow. We're bringing someone in from southern Iraq.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
nice. So where can I drop my email? Like here?
Put it. You could put it right in here, and Jeff will get it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Put it in
Yeah.
the
Thank
put
you
it
so
in the
much.
chat.
Yes.
If you see the private chat over on the side, I'll go ahead and take you off screen in a minute. But just look over at the private chat. Yep, I see that. I'll go ahead and send you an email.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Hey, Jimmy. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Hey, J Swag. Greetings from Argentina, man. Hola de Argentina. Oh, that's great, man. Hey, J Swag, where where uh where where are you right now? J Swag, I love that. Yeah. Greetings from Argentina, wow. Where are you in Argentina, Jay? I'm gonna assume Buenos Aires because the largest percentage of people in Argentina live in Buenos Aires. And so why wouldn't I just assume that? It's my one likelihood to be right. Currently at the University of Kansas. Very cool. University of Kansas. Hey, Jay Swag, do you feel like hopping on the stream really fast? I have a question for you. If you want to. Jeff can send you the link. Yeah. If you scroll up on the chat, you'll see the link there. What's that?
There's your response to where they.
Oh yeah, Buenos Aires, and not the capital. Hey, what's happening in Argentina? You know what, Jay? Why don't you jump on also if you feel like it? I have a question for you about if you feel like it. We're not streaming to many people. This isn't going to blow up or anything. So it's just an opportunity for Jeff and us just to play with different people kind of coming on and hopping off and the cameras and so on. This is a really sweet platform, really, really easy to use. So if you scroll up in the chat, you'll see the link for how to get on. We can always, yeah. Yeah, hey, thanks, Jimmy. Again. So to be clear, I'm happy to respond to any questions right now. Like we felt like we tested this out starting about an hour ago, and it seemed like it was really popping as a platform, man, as a streaming platform. So then we just decided to hop off and pay for it. All right, man. All right, Jay Swag, no problem. No problem. We then thought it was so cool, so we hopped off and we paid for it, and now we're back on the paid version, and therefore we can bring different people onto it.
And by the way,
Jeff, can you make the?
I was just gonna say, if you don't want to turn your video on, you're always welcome to come on. And if you just do audio, it'll look like this. But if you pop on some video, it'll look like that.
Triculturality a little bit. Jason, man, how about, do you want to hop on and tell me what you mean? Can you tell me what you mean by that? Like I could talk about it, but I need you to prompt me with a couple questions. So that would be cool, man. So Jason, if you feel like hopping on, just click on that link and jump in. And then we can, I'd love to respond. You know, my experience with the police in the Middle East, I didn't have much experience with the police because I didn't have very much contact with the police because the police weren't very present in my travels, except at the borders. I was really surprised at traffic police, a lot of traffic police, but no, I don't think it's because I'm an American. I think that I don't think that's wasn't my experience at all. I'm sure I would have had more experience. It's kind of interesting. I think if I were really searching for or digging for, I would have had very different experiences, but I didn't. Yeah. So, hey, by the way, I can see like who is watching on, like Madani. Wait, Madani, where are you from, by the way, right now?
They're from Bahrain.
Bahrain? Yeah, and in the U.S., there's no difference between regular police and traffic police.
We had a conversation about this before, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. There are in some cities, it used to be the case in the United States that there were just traffic police, like really focused on traffic. And we do have that on the highways. We have the police force that's called Highway Patrol. And they are the state, each state has a highway patrol, and their responsibility is to patrol the interstate highway system. And that's the highway system that goes between states. but they stop at the state line. But in that sense, we have traffic police because they represent that. But otherwise, yeah, in like cities and in rural areas, we have the county police, and the county police are mostly a great deal traffic police. Yeah. But yeah, it's really interesting, like how the police forces it can be very complicated here. Well, it's complicated everywhere, I guess, because it's complicated. The ways in which we have to control human populations can be really complicated. So, like that's just the nature of trying to live in a system with so many people, and we got to like really keep things keep people under control. And increasingly, we're going to be doing that more and more because as the population as we expand out and as resources become more limited, and we're going to just see more and more, going to seek more and more ways to control human populations. Like we have to. I was listening to a program last night about immigration into Europe from the Middle East and the Near East and then Africa, and just like, wow, man, it's just so many people, and you can't have that many people entering into societies, right? And you just can't without finding ways to integrate populations into these societies. And now we have Ukraine, and of course Ukrainians are going to want to go back, but everybody wants to go back. They want to go back and have a steady life. Mr. Rashidi, I think, is on here still. Afghans want to be back in Afghanistan. They don't want to be in Europe, like Mr. Rashidi is in Europe right now, and Netherlands, and he doesn't want to. He wants to be in Afghanistan. He wants to be with his family, with friends, and have a job. I mean, this is where you want to be. But everybody, almost all immigrants, would want to go home under the right conditions, So, yeah, it's very complicated. Anyway, yeah, it would be. Anyway, it really would be nice if somebody else would pop on. Maybe Mr. Rashidi, if nobody else wants to, you could. But no, actually, I want to talk to Jason because I really do want to have a conversation about triculturality. And I'm not, and if I had to guess, I would imagine, I mean, we have everybody is multicultural, right? Because everybody is drawing on different cultural properties of different subcultures, right? I mean, everybody is doing that. You just listening to music, like almost everyone's taste in music is bringing together music from all over the world, right? I mean, that's food, music, languages, increasingly, different norms, and the way we dress, the way we're building homes and using technology. This is all we're drawing on technology, on culture from all over the world. So almost everyone on the planet is multicultural, and a lot of people don't like that term, or they would feel like they're not, or some, but they are. That's just kind of, and I say almost everybody. Okay, so there are some people that clearly are not. I mean, because they're living in very isolated communities or so on. But so triculturality, I would imagine what we're looking at is somebody that's like really embraces 3 different cultures. So, which could, I guess I don't think about that only because, well, I do think about it, but it just hasn't been something that's on top of my mind because I immediately go to multi. If you're tricultural, you're also just multicultural because there are many layers of that. And also, I think I probably have a kind of a more generalized version of culture than probably a lot of people do because
Oh,
yeah. So Alex is asking about sociological theory. So back when I was in studying hugely fascinated by sociological theory, and I think I draw on sociological theory. I just don't talk about it. I'm just not really interested in having just bringing people into the classroom who, just bringing theorists or bringing, I don't know, names of people. It just seems like those kinds of things don't ever stick with folks. But I don't enjoy reading theorists who wrote back before. I don't enjoy reading people's writing who did not write on computers and therefore who were really able to edit very carefully, because I read anything before easy editing and computers, and certainly typewriters at the very least anyway. But it's like, people just wrote, and I read it sometimes and I'm thinking, this is just incomprehensible, and like my brain hurts trying to get to the bottom of a page. And people just, and it's unfortunate, right? Because I read Marx, or I read Weber, I read any writers of old, right? And I think, wow, God, if they had had an editor, this could be, like the other day I was reading Thomas Hobbes, the philosopher, and I was just like really I don't know what just drew me to it, but something, I just wanted to see what he said about some issue. And I thought, my God, if this guy had had a computer and an editor, first off, but secondly, a computer and the ability to just edit in the moment and give it to somebody else and have them quickly edit, the writing would be so much more comprehensible. And so I used to beat myself up over the fact that I had a really hard time getting through some of all of these old writers and theorists and so on. And I don't anymore, because one day I realized that they wrote one version and then maybe they rewrote it. And one person somebody read it, or they rewrote it. Maybe they rewrote it once, and maybe once. And like, God, man, if I'm writing something, I rewrite it multiple times, man, and go just to fine tune editing to make sure all my arguments stand against one another. And then I finally look at the finished. I write something and I think, hey, this is really clear. This is a really clear idea, and it's very logically integrated and so on. And then I look back on it and I'm like, what the hell? Like, that made no sense whatsoever, because I've rewritten it and it's now super clear, and it's usually about a third as long. So Alex, this is why I never ask students to read things in the original, because it just doesn't, I don't ask that. And it's like, well, people will say, well, it's better in the original. Like, no, it's not. If it gives you a headache and puts you to sleep, and no one reads it anyway because you can't understand it. Yeah. Yada. Yeah, exactly. Well, if you think about it like that, right? And if you just think about it in that way, like, God, right? People are writing on parchment. You know what I mean? I mean, holy smokes. Like, you just can't do that. And the more you write, like if you've written as much as I haven't published a lot, but I've written a lot. I mean, thousands of pages. And I just see how incredibly difficult it is to say something that's really thoughtful and meaningful and quick and decipherable, I should say. Yeah. So it might mean something to me, but it doesn't mean to anybody else. So anyway, that's a fascinating sociological take about the impending pandemic, instability in the U.S. Thoughts on how? Yeah. So Jeff, man, I guess I would say that it was pretty bad. I was back in the spring of. Yeah, Julie. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. I've tried digging into Das Kapital so many times, man, and thinking that, okay, I could embrace my I could really feel like I'm an academic if I could just read something like Das Kapital, and I'm just like, nah, forget it, man. anyway, it could have been a whole lot worse. That this pandemic, really, in the beginning of, I was just saying this to my wife, and this morning we were talking about it. Like, just wow, it's just like a deer in the headlights. I was so afraid of what we might be in for, and so afraid, and it could have been so bad. And I mean, a million people in the U.S. I mean, we don't know like how many got. We decided they died from COVID, but they actually died from something else. But since they had COVID when they died, we counted them as a COVID death. But that's probably offset by the number of people who died from COVID, and we didn't know they had COVID, and so we assumed that they died from something else, and they probably kind of balance each other out. But in any case, yeah, this could have been so much worse, man. The vaccine is what really kind of took us over the edge, and gave us, helped us to get out of this thing, really. And we're seeing that. And it's not only the vaccine, but actually it's the vaccine and so many people getting COVID. And so that COVID acts as its own vaccine. If you don't die and you don't have long-term symptoms, at least it acts as a deterrent to getting COVID again. And we're seeing that now as we look at China and Korea, Hong Kong, and different places, So for a fast crash course into what, look up Getting to Denmark on YouTube by Kraut. All right. Hang on, I'm gonna look that up right now, actually. Hang on, let's look this up. Wait, hang on. Is this a lecture with? No, it's not the lecture with Fukuyama. Is it How Denmark Invented Social Democracy? Is that the one? Thunder Hamsters. Awesome. Thundering Hamsters. Is that it? The one that looks pretty cool, actually. Yeah, by Kraut. Yeah, that's what it is. All right, I'm gonna check that out. Yeah. But no, listen. Marx was, I mean, just Marx was, wow, such a brilliant thinker. My God, so many of these early theorists, because they were just building stuff on their own, and that's like really, just so awesome to see, and all right, another one, man. Another question. Yeah, that last question, Julie, that last question is from Twitch. Thunder Hamsters is watching Twitch. Yeah, so we're still getting a feel for this. I can see the question, both of them come in. Jeff and I can see both of them come in. But if you're on YouTube, if you hop over to Twitch, you'll see different questions and stuff. So we can see, who's watching. Yeah. Like who's watching. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, this is really nice.
Dude, and you can chat at both at the same time. Like you can type back to both chats at the same time.
I can?
When you're on my end.
Right.
Like I typed, do you have questions for Sam? Ask him on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Here's a response from Jeff Z.
Yeah, Jeff, we're doing really well, man. Yeah, nice to see you. Yeah, we're rocking and rolling. Jeff H is getting ready to go out and test the waters of the outside of Penn State job world. So this is one of his last things to do is set us up with this platform right here. It's going to make things go pretty easy.
And the person who was going to replace me has a huge project when they first start, because the stream is going to be different next year.
Yeah, yeah, we're getting cameras installed in the classroom.
Big
Run,
change.
like these remote control cameras that will run from the back room. Hey, so someone is from Norway. Hey, someone, can you, any chance, we want someone else to hop on the stream really fast, and someone from Norway, I actually have a couple questions about Norway. Do you feel like hopping on someone? Just, no one's really watching that much, so it's not like you don't have to, you could even just use audio, it doesn't matter, but I do have a couple questions for you. Why is some homelessness in Western wealthy countries? Yeah. I think it's so much like a capitalist, it's a capitalist issue, really. It's like private property. This goes back to Marx, right? It's like once we decide about private property, once we sort of put our flag down there and we decide, hey, that human beings don't have a natural right, an inalienable right to a place to lay their heads. And that we're going to just build an entire social system around this idea of private property, then it gives rise to this possibility of homelessness that is like really big,
Alex said that their only complaint about 119 is how large the class is. Very cool to have the stream right now. It hasn't always been this big.
No, and Jeff's been on, man. Jeff's been on me to do more of these Q&As, but we do them, and because I'm a knucklehead, I don't have like, just to be really systematic. If we did it more systematically, we would build an audience, and then it's a lot easier if there's an audience. It's hard to do. It's fine. Like right now we're testing, and maybe we'll do that, but it's kind of like the class. The class is nice, that it's. All right, hang on. Someone just gonna go to the private. Jeff will tell you how to get on. It's nice that it's big because it gives us the motivation and the energy to do the kinds of stuff that we do. It's not nice, and it gives more people an opportunity to have the experience, but it does make it really, really large, and so I don't have an opportunity to really engage, or we don't have an opportunity to engage one-on-one with a lot of people. I do in front of the class, but it's still like a big space, and a lot of people are not comfortable with that. The other day, Muhammad Ali was comfortable. Jeff, don't forget to cut that part out at the end, man. Like, oh my God.
Do you mean on the stream, or do you just mean on the recording?
Just do it on the recording. The stream version is fine. Mostly that'll just go. And Dr. J, the reason I'm 61 and the reason I continue to teach is because and the reason I teach in the way that I do is because I really want to listen to younger generations. I want to listen to about half of it. There's half of it I don't listen to. I just block out because it's just noise. And it's the same kind of noise that you and I put out into the world when we were 20 years old, that, you think you really have an idea about how the world works, and then you throw it out there, and later you look back and you say, oh my God, I was such a knucklehead. But that's okay. That's how life has to be, right? If you want to grow as a thinker, you have to put your ideas out and test them. And then over the years, you keep testing them. But the other half that's not just noise is actually really people saying thoughtful things about what they see in life. My wife calls it their sociological address, but it's really it's so fascinating for me. I do that every other day. Wait, Jason, what is that? Just spew out nonsensical ideas. I do that every day. That's the other good reason, by the way, to have a large class. I forget who said that about the class being large, but it does. I was saying this earlier in the chat. It keeps us all really honest, right? And it makes it, it just makes it, you can't say like a lot of really dumb things, thoughtless things. Like I never know who's listening and who's watching, and so I need to be. I used to say a lot of things just off the cuff, and I look back in time and think about some of the stuff that I probably said. It's like, oh my God, this would be terrible. If I had the opportunity to debate somebody like Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson, who would it be and what would the target subject be? It would definitely not be either of them. Peterson, I wouldn't debate anybody. I don't debate. I'm not into debating. So
Yo,
I
someone,
like,
are you? Oh, go ahead, Sam.
yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say, someone, are you here?
Wait, what does that say that again? Oh, right. Okay. So someone's on?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. But Ben Shapiro, I mean, his job, well, like all he's doing is making a lot of money, right? So his thing is just to aggravate people and like get people to get riled up, and he makes money off of that. And like, I'm not into that. I'm into actually trying to get a place that's closer to an understanding. And Peterson is clearly in that realm. I mean, but he gets pulled into these debate situations where, unfortunately, then he has to defend or attack or something like that, and that just kind of sucks. I don't like that. How can I make a lot of money? Son of halal. Open up a halal grocery store where there isn't one, but there's a lot of demand. There you go. You can make a lot of money. Wait, are you there? Yeah. Hang on. Fatima Azreen, I've been watching your videos since 2017 and I inspire you. Oh my gosh, that's so kind of you to say that. Thank you. Fatima, where are you? And it's Fatima, Fathima, right? The H is part of your name. It's not just a typo, I'm assuming. Fatima. I don't see it. I know lots of people named Fatima, but not Fatim with the H. So where are you from? Yeah, Peterson does walk that line of controversy, but that's kind of. I don't think he necessarily wants to do that. I think he actually just. Yeah, Asreen. Yeah. Okay. Well, nice to. Well, first off, it was really kind of you to say, and I really appreciate that you watched the stream. Oh my gosh, that anybody watches the stream is pretty amazing. Wait, are you there? Maybe all I see is a black screen, but it's like really dark in Norway right now. So maybe that's like.
I think they might be having internet issues because
all right, hang on, we'll get
some bars or something.
That was like with Jameen, who was outside, right? Man, that night's from India. Hey, but if any, it says that you guys are unable to access his audio or her audio.
So it runs off of Chrome, so I would check your Chrome settings to make sure that it's working. And I know that Macs have a little bit more of a difficult time using this app than PCs do. So if you're on a PC,
although I'm using it. It was easy for me on the app. I was having a hard time sharing the screen, but make sure that your computer allows you to share your audio.
Jason asked, have you ever watched the anime Golden Boy? The answer to that is no. Sam doesn't watch TV.
No, but I have been more recently. Hang on.
A little bit.
How do I watch it?
Probably Crunchyroll.
Is there
Jason, where do we watch Golden Boy? Netflix, Crunchyroll, HBO, where?
How's my swimming? Oh, I
it's
just
on
see
YouTube.
something right there. I see how a video. How's my swimming? A golden boy. All right. Listen, I love. I try to watch. Listen. I say this all the time, but I'll say it again. Because I'm a generalist, I feel really motivated and inspired and fascinated by pieces of life from all over the world and pieces of life from all over different cultures, right? So I'm not against anything at all. Like, and I think anime is awesome. I don't really watch it, but anything that so many people are really into, it's awesome because like that's what pulls so many people into it. Like that, it's creative, artistic, and creative, and so on. And I love the animation. So I may not really be a fan of it or may not really watch it, but it's only because I don't have time, right? Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I have it up here. I'll watch something. The problem with some things like that is like you really need a tutorial. Like I remember when like the Simpsons first came on the scene, 25 years ago. So someone is from Greece and Ethiopia, not native Norwegian. Okay, awesome. Even better. Oh, someone. Then I really want to talk to you in that case. So even more so. So, but yeah. So please try to figure it out how you're going to get on. Yeah, I really want it. I had the questions I wanted to ask someone. Now most definitely fit with someone because I want to ask about some cultural things in Ethiopia from an outsider's perspective. Anyway, when the Simpsons first came on the scene like 25 plus years ago, I remember like I would just watch it and not understand. I just didn't get it. I didn't just like, what is this? And then I didn't think it was funny. It just didn't seem very clever at all, like as a form of cultural criticism. And I knew that so many people were into it, and it wasn't just like a kids thing. Like some of my most thoughtful, smart students were really into The Simpsons. This is like mid 90s, right? So I kept trying to understand. And what I ended up doing was get someone to give me a tutorial on the social criticism that The Simpsons really represented. And once they brought me inside of their mind and said, here's what's going on in The Simpsons, like you really need to, this is how you need to see it. Then I like opened up. And I think that's true for anime. I've never had anyone tell me about anime. Hey, so Benjamin, backlash in Europe, large for refugees from the Middle East. Do you think people in Islamic Middle East would show similar backlash to big refugee flow of atheist secular Europeans? Yeah. Well, yes and no. So Benjamin, great question. It depends on the kind of strain and stress it put on those societies, and it depends on the country. But it would be a struggle. It's not anytime. Look, first off, it's nothing about just Europeans. Like Europeans are closed-minded and therefore whatever, no, it's that anytime you get a group of outsiders coming into one's community, it's difficult, right? Like, how do you make that work? Like, how can you possibly do that in a way that you're just bringing these strangers who have different belief systems, different languages, different customs, and then you've heard all sorts of things about them, which may or may not be true, or mostly are not true because they're generalizations and they don't apply to individuals. But then all you need are a few people in that community that bring truth to your generalization. So you have a few Middle Easterners who are like who plant bombs or kill somebody, right? And like radical Islamic folks, right? And that's all you need. You just need one or two, and then that's the end. It just confirms everybody's ideas. But no, it would not be easy anywhere for outsiders to just show up and be in someone's community. So people in the Middle East would have the same struggles as people in Europe are having with all of the people from Africa and the Middle East. No question about that. Would they have it to the same degree? I don't know. I mean, really, in Europe, I'm pretty amazed by how open and thoughtful and accommodating Europeans have been. Like, really, I just wouldn't expect that. Yeah, I wouldn't expect that. Like, people point out the worst, but actually, if you look at the best, I'm like, oh shit, you got millions of people, from throughout the Middle East and Africa, like especially Muslims, moving into these communities that and sometimes are really old communities, and people are mostly okay with it. There's a somewhat of a backlash, but most people are mostly okay. And I'm like, if we look at it that way, it's like, okay, that's pretty impressive. And that's that kind of liberal way of thinking, not liberal political liberal philosophical liberal way of being in the world. And so I think that's pretty cool. And I try to like have that message a lot in my teaching. Like, let's not just focus on the negative, but at the same time, man, Arab Muslim cultures in particular, and most, depending on where in Africa, but most African cultures, people are really community oriented and are very accommodating to strangers. Like, you, especially in Islam, like, you have to be accommodating to strangers. It is just part of Islamic understanding of the world that you bring strangers in and you feed them. This is what I'm talking about in class tomorrow, by the way. It's going to be a really interesting class. And yeah. Hey, Madani, wait, I forget, where did you say you were?
Bahrain.
Oh, Bahrain. Yeah. Yeah. It's mostly Bahrain. I mean, like, but a lot of those people that are there in Bahrain are also, I mean, they're workers, right? They're people coming from all over, and they're working. So, yeah, especially strangers. Yeah. Yeah. So Yara. Yeah. It really, there's something like, I think that, look, I'm not like, I don't want to like, I sometimes people critique me because they feel like I sugarcoat Islam or something. I don't know, right? Or I talk about Islam in these like kind of, I paint a picture that's much more rosy and better than it is. I don't deny radical Islam and the narrow-minded, stupid thinking that happens by many people, but man, there's something in Islam. There's something about the like that, like being accommodating to strangers. It's really, really powerful. By the way, I have to change the battery in my microphone, so.
So it shows that you're here, but if I, for instance, bring up a comment, then on my end, I can see everybody's connectivity, and yours is just saying there's none. So I'm not sure why there isn't anything.
Yeah, if you go up next to, if you go up to the URL, Yara, no, hang on, it's Delta. If you go up to if you're on a laptop or if you're on a computer, go up right next to the M in Melon app, and just, if you're on an app, just click on that little lock right there. That'll unlock your, yeah.
And
Jameen
Janine
is
from
saying,
earlier
yeah.
said use your mobile phone or mobile device.
I accidentally, yeah, Alex, listen, man. Yeah, I was in Turkey. I was in Istanbul, and I was trying to find dervishes. I was really fascinated by the whirling dervishes, and by that kind of, that element of Yeah, I was just really fascinated, and so I was asking for wait, hang on one second. Yeah, so I was asking around if someone knew any Sufis, any Sufi groups, right, like communities, because it just really, this is like kind of the more ethereal kind of component of Islam. And I'm always much more interested in that sort of thing. Even though I'm a sociologist, like I'm interested in the practice of how people practice their religions, but I'm really fascinated by Sufism. Sufism is just really utterly fascinating. So anyway, I met somebody just randomly having coffee, and I said, "Hey, I told him the night before I went to this theater performance of Whirling Dervishes, just because I just wanted to watch the dance, And he said, "Oh my God, you got to go speak with someone." I said, "I've been trying. Like, can you help me out?" And well, this guy was an Islamic scholar who had lived in the United States for like 40 years or so. And he was living back in Turkey now. He was Turkish, and he said, "Yeah, meet me right here. Meet me at 5 o'clock." I said, "Is that American time or is that Turkish time?" And he's like, "American time, 5 o'clock." 5 o'clock, I was on a corner. Taxi pulls up. I hop in. He's in the back seat. We go, and he takes me in these back alleys, and we go to this. We stop in front of this house, and this building, and we go up these steps. It was really cool, just like whoa, really tiny stairwell, and we walk inside, and there's a guy sitting there on his mats, just waiting for us, basically. And we sit down. He didn't speak English, I didn't speak Turkish, and we just sat for about an hour, just like kind of just being in each other's presence. And it was really intense because there was one of the large mosques in central Istanbul was right outside the window, so he could see it. And it was behind me, but he could see it. And the moon was rising over it was just amazing. Anyway, we spent about an hour just kind of laughing, looking at each other and kind of giggling and just like, oh my God. We were connected. We were like brothers connected. I had never seen this guy before, right? And finally he starts speaking, and I know that he wants me to repeat after him. And so I repeat after him, and then I do it a second time, and he says like, "Okay, now you're Muslim, like Suleiman." He gave me the name Suleiman, which is means like, thinker, bright thinker. And then the next night I came back, and he brought all of his people, his community came together, and they had a big celebration for me. They gifted me with this really beautiful Quran and a prayer rug, and then they performed a sema, and a sema is the ceremony of whirling dervishes. And yeah, it was just like it was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. And so then they were all happy that I converted to Islam. But the thing was, he said, I did manage to figure out, somebody had then translated, said, well, you can't believe in evolution. Like, his take was like, this is all like handed from Allah. So you can't believe in evolution. And I thought, okay, well then I'm going to have a hard time with this, because I'm not giving up evolution. That's like my religion, So anyway, that was it. So technically, I suppose I'm a Muslim. I'm going to talk tomorrow in class about the Hajj, and I was just really been thinking a lot about it recently, and thinking like, oh my God, I gotta do the Hajj. Yeah. So someone, but I'm not I'm baptized Christian, but I'm not, I don't, and I had this experience in Istanbul. I consider myself, wherever I am, that's what I am. I mean, if I'm in a Buddhist, one of the most profoundly moving experiences I ever had in my life was in a Buddhist temple outside of Tokyo. Yeah, just profoundly moving, man, where the spirit entered my body. And I was in front of all these Buddhists. There were probably like 50 or 60 or 70 Buddhists, and I was meditating, and the spirit, the Buddha, I suppose, entered my body, and I was like, whoa, okay. So I guess I'm Buddhist as well. So, all right, so hang on. So let's try this out now. So who's N? JC, what's up? I never know people. We have your names on here, but I never know who is who. Wait, okay, so
Currently
N,
muted. I can unmute you, but I'd rather you unmute you. I'm not sure if this is Deltat or JC or someone.
Mm-hmm. It's good that we're having this experience because we'll know like what we have to do. Deltec gave up for now. Oh, come on. All right, here we go. Hang on. Switching around.
Hello?
Yo, there you are. Okay, so who is this? Wait, we had you there for a second. N. Well, we don't know who this is, but
It's someone.
someone. What's up? There you are. Wait, so you're in Norway right now. Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
So someone, do you have a weak internet connection or? But by the way, you have to make sure that the live stream is turned off. Like, cause you're in it now. So you have to make sure the stream itself is turned off, like on your computer or wherever you are. Make sure you do that. Someone, are you there again still?
I think they said that their English wasn't the best, so
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Okay,
they're
you're
still
there. Can you hear me well? Hey, by the way, if you're just
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So listen, so you're in Norway. How are you treated? So I'm assuming you're brown because you said you're from Ethiopia.
Wait, now I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me now. Jeff, can you?
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, how about now, someone? You got me? Yeah. So my question for you is, I'm really fascinated by. You don't hear me? Yeah. Okay. Here's what's up. I do want to talk. I do have questions for you. So let's try to, Jeff, why don't we try to see if we could try it again, but let's try with somebody else who has a better connection. Okay. So someone, I really do want to talk to you because I do have questions for you. I've been wanting to talk to a brown person in Norway. Benjamin, yes, I think both Chris. Yeah, there we are.
Well, no.
Jeff, I think it's an internet connection, actually.
I think it might be. I'll make sure that
Yeah.
they email us.
Okay, find out. So okay, someone listen here. So Jeff, did she get off?
Yeah.
Okay, so
They sent a message in the chat.
I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna ask my question in a second, but I'm first gonna respond to Ben. Ben, I absolutely think Christianity and Islam have to filter out past beliefs. I mean, not just Christianity and Islam. There are a lot of them. All religions, Judaism, all like this. This idea that, I mean, so many Orthodox Jewish ideas. I mean, just the absurdity of some stuff that, whatever. I mean, I say that, but whatever. I mean, that's not my beliefs. But I'm a sociologist. What can I say? I think in like really extremist Buddhists, extremist Hindus, there's just so many extreme ideas that are very literal, and religion isn't meant to be literal, right? When you make it literal, when you actually, that's not it. Religions exist to give you, they're built around, religions are practices that are built around belief systems that are meant to turn our attention inward into our heart, mind, and soul. That's what it's about. And so we have these rituals, these religious rituals that are really meant to turn our attention away from the mundane, the day-to-day living, so that we can actually go to the next level and connect with the experience that we're not capable, as human beings in this plane of reality. It's very difficult to have, which is the experience with the divine, with things outside of us. And so, and that's these ideas, right? But when the ritual itself becomes the idea, the divine idea, or when the belief system is interpreted in a very literal way, then we lose it. It's similar to believing that if the founding fathers of the United States, the founders of the US, came back to life today and they understood the nature of semi-automatic weapons, and like the fact that somebody could walk into somewhere with a gun that can shoot 30 bullets, armor piercing bullets, in a matter of like 10 seconds, like that, they wouldn't rewrite the Constitution somehow to say, listen, we got this thing called the Second Amendment, but we're going to put a couple of caveats on that. Of course they would. I mean, that's just silly. And to think that that people who wrote these early texts, like the Old Testament, and like all the prohibitions against seafood and shellfish and one thing, I mean, come on, man. I think this is just silly. Of course, this is not. We're living in different times, and so anyway, that's my personal take on it. But whatever. Who am I? Yeah, and I think that yeah. Okay, Delta. Yeah, they use cannons that rip. Yes, exactly. So, but what they didn't have an understanding of, they would not have put the Second Amendment in. They didn't say every household can own a cannon and should have a cannon and that sort of thing. And they probably, if someone had said, like, I think that we should have every household own a cannon, they could just bring so much destruction on the world. I'm quite certain that that would be a little caveat somewhere in this, the Constitution and so on, and the Bill of Rights, the whole 9 yards. So I just have to think that, and whether I'm like, yeah. No, but listen, they weren't thinking that with cannons, and the reason is because average people didn't own cannons. The only people that owned cannons were like the large organized forces and the power of the state. So when we talked about arms, we talked about very simple weapons. And now what we have are average people can own cannons. Average people can own rocket launchers. I mean, you can buy this stuff everywhere. And like, that's just a very different story. So anyway, I think it's very similar with religion. And some of the things that Muslims and Christians and Hindus and Buddhists and Jews and so on think, the ideas they have that God said and God believed and God this. I'm like, okay, come on, man. Yeah, Arnold owns a tank. See, even that, like you can't, but can't put live shells in it. You know what I mean? But I suppose kids figure out how to do that. Yeah, this is just, anyway, so anyway, I hope that, anyway, listen, my question about Norway is just that how are brown people treated by people in Norway? Like, what are the, again, I have this idea that that most actions that human beings have are incredibly civil, the vast majority of the time. And so, like, even when we say, like, we have the Stop Asian Hate campaign, and there's just so much hatred against Asians. I'm like, well, there is on one hand, but we've got 17 million people of Asian ancestry in the United States, and East Asian ancestry, so it's about 8 or 9 million, and the vast majority of the 8 or 9 million people have not experienced any like really serious problems. So we talk about Asian hate as though like there's an epidemic of Asian hate, but the vast majority of people have not experienced anything and don't know anybody that's experienced anything over the course of the past couple of years. And I'm not downplaying that hate that actually exists, but what I want to point out constantly is, like, people have a remarkable capacity of getting along. And so if we look for our news in data sets and not in newspaper headlines, then it's a very different story, right? So last year we had, something like 4,000 reported incidents of Asian hate, of hatred against Asian people. Well, when you think of 8 or 9 it's mostly East Asian, right? 8 or 9 million people of East Asian ancestry, 4,000, so really isn't that many. And I don't want to downplay that, but I think we have to always be looking at this sort of thing. And so what I'm asking is, like, how are pretty much boring. So no one cares. Okay, there it is. Because I read a lot about the rise of, it's kind of like in Europe, right? The rise of the right wing is really anti-immigrant and, anti, the right wing in Europe, right? The white right wing, neo-Nazi groups and so on that are really anti-immigrant and anti-change and anti-black and brown people. And, but I don't know. I spent a lot of time in Europe, and I don't know. It's just one of those things. So, trending issue being discussed. They say that in Sweden and Norway, child protection authorities are targeting migrants and dismantling families. Okay. So if it's in Arabic social media, so Thunder Hamsters, no, Madani, 89. If it's in Arabic social media, then you got to really call it into question. You got to really dig into what that really means, right? This is one of the reasons I love teaching my really large class, because I'm not able to, and that we live stream to so many places, because I'm not able to say things that are really just not true. Well, hang on, I can, and I try not. I have to be reminded not to all the time. So targeting migrants and dismantling families. So the question would be like, okay, what do we mean by targeting migrants, and what do we actually mean by dismantling families? That would be, so Madani from Bahrain, what does that mean, dismantling families? Because if I had to say, understanding Sweden and Norway, which are very family focused and like really very strong and thoughtful, bureaucratic, liberal societies, liberal meaning, again, philosophically liberal, I'd be like, yeah, if they're doing that, maybe it has a reason. Maybe they're putting families in different places. I mean, you have to step in the shoes of the bureaucrats and Sweden and Norway and Denmark and so on, and say like, okay, what's the purpose behind that, and what's the reasoning why they're doing that? And sometimes it's because now you're in those societies, and so you're going to have to follow their rules, and that's kind of the nature of how it is. Like when I'm in the Middle East, if I'm in like Qatar or the Emirates or Kuwait or something, I got to follow their rules, and I want to follow my rules, but I'm not. I got to follow their rules, and so like, okay, so I get that. Denmark's taking 100,000 Ukrainians. That just seems like a lot. Yeah. 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 Child welfare service takes children away from foreign family. It's a big problem. Even the EU has said that Norway must sharpen them. Hang on, I want to look at this. I want to look at why. Okay, hang on. So when I hear things like this, you understand, like, okay, so here with Norway's problem, they took our children. The case of, okay, well, hang on, that was in 2016. So should a kid be taken away if they don't like fish balls? And this is in Norway. Should the kid be taken away if they don't like fish balls? Like, okay, yeah, in Norway they should be. All right, hang on. How Norway's child welfare service is creating. First off, when I hear things like this, I'm initially suspect, right? I'm always suspect because I have to be, right? The last thing, I don't want to be like this idiot. Who's the guy? Not an idiot, but the senator the other day, he was talking about the furry problem in the United States. So he was talking about this whole furry movement, meaning children who dress up like animals and pretend like they're animals, like cats and dogs. And he said that in some schools, they're even putting litter boxes in the classrooms so that children who think they're cats actually have a place to go to pee and to go to the bathroom, right? So this was a rumor that somebody put out over social media just as a way to play with people's minds, probably. Anyway, so he saw this and he made a statement about it, and then he had to come back out and say, okay, I was rickrolled on that or whatever, right? Like I shouldn't have said that. That's actually not happening. And so for me, I'm so careful about stuff. Child is creating a worldwide controversy. You're thinking country is hiding. Norwegian Child Welfare Service has been backlash in Norway and abroad. The reason protesters feel that this welfare government is a bit too eager to separate children from their families and place them under foster care. Okay. All right. Well, it doesn't. It's not okay. I'm gonna look into this, right?
I would say that.
No, hang on. No, someone you got to go back. But it's a very small move. Jeff, do you want to respond to the furry?
I think there's a difference between people who are furries, as in like just animals, and like kind of more of what a child would have in mind with furry.
Yeah.
And then there's the sexual kinky one, which is different. And so when children, when they watch anime and they like do the ooh ooh and pretend to be a cat, I think it's very different than what other people think are furries, but yet they're putting both of them together. And then they say, this entire community is crazy. And it's like, well, actually it's different parts, but it's not my thing. So like, to me, it's weird, but like also no one's putting in a litter box in a classroom.
In a classroom, that's not happening. But it's no different than, like Comic-Con, right? You're not really into the Comic-Con.
I'm not into Comic-Con, but people go and some people dress up, they cosplay, it's called. Totally. And there's no sexual component to it. But yet I'm sure that there's people who do also have a sexual component to the cosplaying.
So they dress up as comic book characters, and some people, man, they are serious about this. Like, oh my God, Okay, well, the same thing with the furry movement. There are all these gatherings of furries, meaning people just like Comic-Con, they dress up as animals. It's like, well, it's kind of cool if you think about it, right? I'm going to dress up as a squirrel. I mean, I'm not going to do it, but whatever. It's not even sexual. It's just like, why dress up as a comic book character? Why not dress up as a squirrel? It's a different.
People do it for their favorite video games too. So like when their video
Yeah.
games have their championships, the people will, for League of Legends, be Jace with a giant hammer, and it's just like,
dude,
I want to be Jace. Like, of course I want to be Jace.
Exactly. People go to sporting events, yeah, and people dress up in the jerseys of their favorite team, and then they also dress up as the mascot of their favorite team. So it's like, okay, it's the same thing. Like, I don't. All right, hang on though. I want to go. Someone said, I hate with all of my heart the child welfare. So many people are getting their children taken away. It's just sad. Well, I just have to look at it. Like so many children. I just have to look at that thing. I've heard of this kind of critique, but I'm gonna dig further. By the way, it's not just about foreigners getting their kids taken away. It's people getting their kids taken away. In the U.S., we've gone the opposite direction. We don't take. It takes a lot to have your child taken away, and in the U.S., like, unfortunately, any human being can have a child, so you don't have to be smart or thoughtful or anything. And so, like, our critique is that probably in the U.S. we should take more children away from people than we do. Right? Pretend to be a cat, Jason. Yeah, I don't know what it would be to pretend to be a cat, actually. Jeff has a cat.
Totally
and
not
a dog.
Me. I do have a cat.
So you just got to follow your cat around.
But like an actual cat, not a human.
Right.
Dude, there's this TikTok where it's this girl and she's like emo, like that's her style, and she has a leash going off screen. She says, "Come on, boy," and then like a dog comes out from that side of the screen, and then someone else TikToked after that, and they're like, "Why did I expect a grown ass man to be walking on his hands and knees?" And it's just like,
yeah,
not me.
yeah. Hey, by the way, Thunder Hamsters. When I think about the Scandinavian countries, and I'll throw the Dutch in there too, I think about people with very thoughtful social welfare systems, really thoughtful, well-funded, very thoughtful. And I'm thinking, yeah, my immediate thought is to give people the benefit of the doubt. Again, it's not just immigrants at all. It's just that the immigrants are the ones that are going to raise an issue, because especially with so many immigrants who are coming into the Scandinavian countries, are coming from countries where the family is everything. God. And you're coming to another country with your family. Like, this is like you're holding on. Yeah. Anyway, do we have somebody else trying to get on?
Possibly.
How did Jameen get on so easily and everybody else is not able to do it?
Mobile phone, maybe?
What do you feel if a child is given to a family of different religion or language? Okay, well, now that's a whole different story, man. But that's mostly not what's happening, I don't think. I think the child is taken away and the family is given opportunities to really do the kind of social work they need to do to get their lives together so the child can be brought back into the family culture. I think it's not. Here in the United States, we have Sharia, Christian Sharia law. I mean, in Tennessee, there was recently this case where they wouldn't allow this Jewish couple to adopt a child who wasn't even of a religion yet, but to foster care a child, and the child was a young child, wasn't of any religion, but they didn't allow them to, and so the Jewish couple brought a lawsuit to say, like, you can't stop us because we're Jewish. And the folks said, well, but we're a Christian agency, and So the child, we consider it to be a Christian child. It's like, come on, man. You have this couple that want to foster a child, let alone adopt. So anyway, yeah, I have issues with that. So,
Yo, Sam, it is 6.
yeah, it's 6. It's late. We've been at this for a long time. Okay,
Hour and a
listen.
half. This
Yeah.
is good though. I don't think Delta or Delta is gonna be able to be heard.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do this again.
We
Yeah.
have emails from people who commented today. If you want to be a part of a test for another use of this, send an email to staff@social19.org, and we'll pick a day when we won't stream, but like maybe we'll get some of these people on and figure out what this app is and how easy it is to use and how we can use it effectively. But yeah, when Sam can just jump on
All right.
real quick, start having a conversation.
All right,
It's cool.
And I just had a call come in that I'm going to hop on to. So listen, y'all, thanks for helping us test this. It's been a lot of fun. We'll do it again. Maybe next Wednesday we'll do it. We'll pick a time. All right, Jeff. Thanks, man.
See you, everybody.
All right. See you.